Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I'm Andy RC and today I'm going to be setting up and flying the Tyro99, which is a $99 5-inch race drone. I've already done 2 videos on this guy already, so I did my 10-minute build video and then I sort of did a overview of the copter once I had built it on my thoughts and whether a beginner should buy it. And now I am going to set it up and fly it. So the first thing that I need to do is remove the props and we will take it into Betaflight. Another thing you might want to do is turn the power level down on the VTX, because these cheap VTXs, they tend to not have temperature protection. So if you have them on the highest setting, which I think they say is 600 milliwatts on this, it could actually burn itself out. So we have a single button on here, and I believe it's a 2-second press to change the channels, and then a same to change the band, and then I think it's a 10-second press for the power output. So you can see this is out of the box and it's on the second power output, which I think is 200 milliwatts. So we want that on the first one when we are messing about in Betaflight, because 25 milliwatts shouldn't overheat. And of course make sure you've got the antenna on there as well, but I can feel the heat coming off this already. So I believe it's a 10-second press on here in order to change the power output. So let's do that. There you go, can you see it's gone to 2 now, so 3 is 600, and then actually we can set it at 0, so that's pit mode, so we'll keep it on that for now. Just make sure that you change it back. So pit mode means that it's going to output at, say, 1 milliwatt, and then the thing will never overheat when you have it on the bench. Okay, so here we are in the Betaflight configurator. You get this from the GitHub website. You're also going to need the BLHELI configurator. This is the non-32-bit version, because these are non-32-bit ESCs, so make sure that you get the right version. And I'm going to connect it. So I've got all of the props off. That's important in case we have any issues when the battery is plugged in, and the props, you know, they can cut you up, so be careful with that. Now if you've got the copter on a flat surface here, you can calibrate the accelerometer into the port tab, and I think this was already set up, so I'm using the XM Plus here, so it's S-Bus, and I've got serial RX turned on here on the UART2. Lots of spare UARTs if you are wanting to upgrade the components or something like that later. So I think I needed to set it to D-Shot 600. I think it was set to 1-Shot 125. I always set my motor idle at 6% to avoid any flips of death, depending on the rates that you are using. I've set the gyro and the PID loop frequency to 8K. 8K as this is an F4 board. There's no board alignment on here, so we don't need to mess with any of that. I've got the arming set to 180 degrees. Now, for a beginner, I would probably say just leave this as it is. I set it to that, which means that if the copter's not completely flat, like if it's on a hill, then it'll still arm. And if I've got it stuck in a tree, I can still arm it and shake it out. But for safety reasons, you can keep this as stock. It means if you accidentally hit the arm switch while you're carrying the copter and it's plugged in, then it's not going to cut you up. We've got Tyro99 for the personalization, and then we have got serial-based receiver here, and then S-Bus, of course. If you are using iBus or anything else, then you can select that in there. And then it's got telemetry turned on, but we're not using telemetry such as a stock setting. We've got air mode on, we've got on-screen display, anti-gravity and dynamic filter, so I had to turn those on. I've also turned on D-Shot beacon because this doesn't have a buzzer, so I can set that up to go off. You know, if it's lost in long grass, the motors will twitch and it will make a noise, and I've left everything else there stock as well. If we go into the power and battery, I always reduce this to about 3, because otherwise when the battery sags, you'll start to get your battery warning flashing, and I don't like that. I like to monitor that myself. I also set the maximum cell voltage to 4.6 if I ever want to use a high volt. And I've got onboard ADC here for the voltage meter and the current meter. However, it doesn't have a current meter, so I'll be turning that off on the on-screen display. Failsafe you don't really need to touch these days, just set it to drop and of course make sure that it works. So with the props off, you're going to want to arm the copter once we have set it up in the modes, and then turn off your transmitter and it should just stop all of the motors. That's the safest way. PID tuning, I've actually left their PIDs here and also the feed forward. I have stuck my own rates in here, and I've left all of this stock as well because, yeah, this new version of Betaflight, so it came with 3.5, and you can see the target there, MKF4. Yeah, it's got some changes in there. It's becoming difficult, I think, Betaflight. It's just my opinion. But yeah, I've left all of the PIDs and also the filter settings just as standard here. So if I go into receiver, so my Tyrannus is set up as the channel map TAER, and I've also got the RSSI channel set on the aux 4. So if you go back to the build video, I'll show how to do that. So you flash the XM Plus with a particular firmware, and I haven't touched anything here. I put in a little bit of RC deadband just so that we have nice smooth sticks around the center there, but yeah, everything else I've left the same. So modes, I have set it to ARM on the aux 1, and again in the build video I showed how I set that up. I've got angle mode on the aux 2 in the low position, and then it will be acro and air over here. I've got the aux 3 set up as a beeper. I don't do turtle mode. I don't recommend turtle mode for a beginner because you can end up smoking an ESC. If you are a racer, or you know, if you're flying, you know, long range or something and you can't get your copter, then maybe, but yeah, I don't recommend it for a beginner myself. So we don't need to do anything in adjustments or servos or anything. Now we need to do something here. So I did my build video and I soldered everything up, and you're going to want to make sure that the motors are all turning in the right direction, and the way that you do that is you plug a battery in. So again, make sure the props are off. I'm going to plug the battery in here, and you'll hear the tones going. Then you need to click this here, I understand the risks, and what you want to do. So motor 1, so I put the copter in the same orientation, so this is motor 1, 2, 3 and 4, and they should go in this direction. So what I do is just spool it up, and then you can just put your finger on it and just see which way it's turning, and take note of any that just need reversing compared to this. So I think it was just one of mine that needed reversing. I've already done it, but that's what you do. You go through all of these like that. In fact, what you can do is you can do all of them at the same time, because this misses the PID loop out, so your copter should be fine, and you can just touch each individual motor and make sure that it's going in this direction. If they are not, and you put the props on, then it's just going to flip out when you try and take off. Okay, so we are done in there, and I'm just going to unplug the battery actually, because we're going to need to plug it back in to go into the BLHELI configurator. I'll take it into the on-screen display. So I've just got, it's simple here. I've got my overall battery voltage, and then I've got the craft name, and then I like to have the flight time rather than the on time, because I don't find the on time useful, but the flight time will tell you how much flight time you are getting. So I just use that, and I've got the RSSI turned on there as well. And I haven't really touched anything here. This is all just stock here. I think I might have turned off the max speed because, you know, that's some GPS stuff in there. So yeah, that is actually everything that I set up in Betaflight. Now what I'm going to do is disconnect from here and just show you how to reverse a motor if you need to. It's very important that you disconnect because they are using a pass-through. So actually does use Betaflight or CleanFlight or whatever to use a serial pass-through to connect to the ESCs and change the settings. So I've disconnected that. And if we go on here now, I'm going to plug the battery in again, and again I'm going to stress props off here. So if I press connect on here now and then read setup, we should get some options. And if you look here, all we're interested in is this one. So I had to reverse just motor 4 because all of the others were going correct. I think if you solder these up straight, then I think it's already designed to go the right direction. I must have just got one wrong here. So once you have selected the ones that need to be reversed, then you just press right setup, and then we are pretty much ready to fly. As I say, make sure your fail-safe works before you put the props on, and we are ready to go. Okay, let's go for a maiden with this guy. Now I'm actually using a 1500 milliamp battery here. Probably recommend a 1300 on 4S with this KV. Man, it is windy here today. That's not going to have a huge amount of punch. Saying that, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. So let's see how it flies. These are just the default PIDs, I haven't changed anything. And yeah, it's behaving alright. Behaving really nice actually. So there you go. The $100 race drone, yeah, it flies. And actually on the dual blades in this 1500 battery, I'm surprised at that punch. Yeah, it's really nothing to complain about. Of course it's, you know, it's not going to be on par with a top end racer, but top end racer, you know, can be 8-9 times more expensive than this thing. So there you go. Maiden flight a success. Just flick it into angle mode just to see that we've got no drift. Good news. Yep, no problems there. Let's bring him in for a landing. Okay, let's take a look at some DVR footage, and straight away I can see that the camera is the weakest point of this package, which I always suspected. It's not so much the light handling, which it isn't great at either, but it's the narrow field of view, which makes depth perception really tricky. So effectively the camera is always zoomed in to what's ahead rather than looking at what is around us. And yeah, you could switch out the camera for a better one, but I think you start to lose that $99 value there. So what I did was I took a 2.5mm GoPro lens and I screwed that in because it's an M12 screw thread, and I got a wider field of view. It's still quite narrow, but I was able to fly better and have better depth perception, which I think is important for a beginner. So I'd probably even go a 2.1mm lens on there to get the best out of it. And I think that would be the cheapest way to get a good result out of this copter, because yeah, for a beginner I just think it's too narrow, and everybody else that is flying race drones is flying with a wide field of view for the most part. So yeah, you could stick on another camera. I think the Cadex Turbo Micro F1 is probably the best and cheapest option. However, it's a micro camera, so you'd have to have an adapter for that. And something that happens when you switch the camera out is that the on-screen display starts to flicker, and I found this out from my friend NJ Tech. I'll leave a link to his channel in the below because I know he's been doing a lot of work on this, but he straight away switched the camera out. And yeah, the on-screen display started to flicker, which is usually a sign that there's some sort of grounding issue, and I believe the fix for that was to hook it up to the 5V out. So yeah, this board has a 5V out, and then that fixed the problems with the on-screen display. So let's talk about everything else. So we are also getting a little bit of noise through to the VTX in the form of black lines. Now, it's not debilitating at all, and I would say for $99 it's acceptable, but it's noise that is filtering through, you know, from the ESCs, even though we have a capacitor on there, so it's not quite doing the job. I know this VTX, it's a very cheap VTX, and it's a sort of variation of an older VTX that I've got, which had similar noise. So I think the noise is a combination of the VTX, the ESCs, and it just being cheap components. So again, rather than trying to eradicate that, I would just, you know, fly this quad for what it is. I would call it a basher quad for a beginner. You know, you're going to have crashes with it. Just, you know, try not to get too bothered by the fact we've got a little bit of noise, and, you know, the light handling isn't too great on the camera. But as you can see, I'm able to fly with it here. So, yeah, my sort of advice would be go for a wider lens, because it will screw in, and then you'll get better depth perception. At most, switch the camera out, but yeah, make sure that, you know, you hook it up to the 5V so that you don't get the on-screen display flickering. And yeah, I did these videos in 3 parts, and between those 3 parts I reviewed the Eachine Tiny Whoop, so that is the UK and the US 65. So that is just a fantastic package, and it does absolutely everything. You have got your smart audio, you've got your telemetry, you've got, you know, one of the best performing whoops out there, and that is cheaper than this, so I definitely think that's worth a consideration as well. But of course, it doesn't fly like a 5-inch. This one does fly like a 5-inch. I do think you are getting your $99 worth, but no more than that. So you will get a 6-minute flight time on the stock props, which isn't too bad, actually. So yeah, fine for the stock props, you know, but you can switch the props out and, you know, experiment with that. But it flew fine on the stock props, flew fine on the stock tune as well. I didn't feel the need to change anything there. And yeah, so there is the end of my video series on the Tyro99. I'll link it in the below if you wish to get one. And as always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.